Welcome back to Cryptic Echoes. I'm Milaval, and tonight we're unraveling the terrifying true story behind The Conjuring. You've probably seen the 2013 horror film, jump scares, creepy dolls, and that chilling phrase, based on a true story. The film drew from the real case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren, focusing on the Perron family's ordeal in a haunted Rhode Island farmhouse during the 1970s. For nearly a decade, the Perrons claimed to be tormented by spirits, enduring everything from eerie noises to violent attacks. Tonight we'll separate Hollywood fiction from the alleged facts, exploring what really happened in that infamous house. Was it a genuine haunting or something else entirely? Let's dig into the true story behind The Conjuring. Brace yourself. This is one nightmare that might just be real. In 1971, the Perron family moved into the old Arnold estate, hoping for a fresh start. But the farmhouse held secrets. Doors slammed, shadows lurked, and whispers echoed at night. The line between curiosity and terror quickly blurred. The Perrons realized they weren't alone. The haunting was just beginning. The haunting escalated from unsettling to violent, with one spirit, Bathsheba Sherman, fixating on Carolyn. Carolyn suffered bruises, scratches, and even a mysterious puncture wound as if stabbed by a needle. The attacks were personal, targeting her role as mother and caretaker. The girls saw terrifying apparitions, an old woman with a broken neck, her face twisted in hatred, and a chilling, decaying presence. Poltergeist activity exploded, beds levitated, chairs flew, doors slammed shut, and Roger was once trapped in the cellar by an unseen force. The spirits mimicked family voices, luring them into empty rooms and sowing confusion. Carolyn's attempts to keep order only made things worse. Cleaning triggered violent outbursts, with dishes smashed and beds torn apart. The children were pulled from their beds, slapped and tormented by invisible hands. The family huddled together at night, but nowhere felt safe. Roger, once a skeptic, was forced to confront the reality of their situation as he witnessed objects flying and heard voices himself. The house had become a battleground and the Perrons were losing. The psychological torment was relentless. Fear, exhaustion, and helplessness consumed them. Desperate, Carolyn sought help, leading her to Ed and Lorraine Warren, famed paranormal investigators. The Warrens' arrival marked a turning point, but the haunting was far from over. The family's ordeal had reached a fever pitch, and the true nature of the evil in their home was about to be revealed. The Perrons were fighting for their sanity, their safety, and their very lives. The house was no longer just haunted, it was hostile. The spirits were not content to be seen or heard, they wanted to drive the family out, or worse. The Perrons' nightmare was now a full-blown siege. The line between the living and the dead had been obliterated. The family's only hope was outside intervention. The Warrens were their last chance. The haunting had become a war, and the Perrons were its unwilling soldiers. The house's dark history was manifesting in terrifying new ways. The family was pushed to the brink. The true horror of the old Arnold estate was now undeniable. The Perrons were trapped in a nightmare with no end in sight. The battle for their home, and their souls, had begun. To understand the haunting, we must look at Bathsheba Sherman, the spirit blamed for the parents' torment. Local legend painted Bathsheba as a Satanist and baby killer, accused of murdering an infant with a sewing needle, though never convicted. Ostracized and feared, she allegedly cursed the land before dying by hanging in 1885. The property's history was soaked in tragedy. Suicides, murders, drownings, and mysterious deaths haunted its past. The Perrons believed Bathsheba's spirit was the dominant force, targeting Carolyn as a rival for the role of mistress of the house. The infamous puncture wound Carolyn suffered echoed the legend of Bathsheba's crime. But Bathsheba wasn't alone. The house was filled with spirits, both victims and perpetrators, trapped by the land's dark legacy. The farmhouse itself seemed alive, its walls saturated with generations of pain. The oppressive atmosphere, cold spots, and foul odors were more than just ghostly phenomena, they were the house's history made manifest. The Perrons realized they weren't just fighting a ghost, but a curse rooted in blood and sorrow. The legend of Bathsheba gave a face to their fear, but the true evil was the house's legacy of suffering. The spirit's rage was personal, historical, and relentless. The family was caught in a web of tragedy that spanned centuries. The haunting was more than random activity, it was a manifestation of the land's tortured past. The Perrons' nightmare was the latest chapter in a story of misery and death. The house was a tomb, and they were its latest victims. The legend of Bathsheba became the focal point of their terror. The true horror was the inescapable curse of the old Arnold estate. The Perrons were fighting not just for their home but for their very souls. By 1974, the Perrons were desperate. Carolyn reached out to Ed and Lorraine Warren, hoping for salvation. Lorraine immediately sensed Bathsheba's presence, confirming the family's fears. The Warrens documented the haunting, cold spots, foul odors, and violent attacks. During a seance, things spiraled out of control. Carolyn was allegedly possessed, speaking in strange voices and thrown across the room. The children witnessed the chaos, traumatized by the failed attempt to expel the spirit. Roger, fearing for his family, forced the Warrens to leave, believing their intervention had only made things worse. The exorcism didn't cleanse the house. Instead, it enraged the entity. The family was left alone, more vulnerable than ever. The Warrens believed a full church-sanctioned exorcism was needed, but it never happened. The Perrons had to find a way to survive on their own. The haunting intensified and hope faded. The family's only option was to endure. The failed exorcism marked a turning point. The battle was lost. The Perrons were left to coexist with the evil in their home. The house was more hostile than ever and the family was on their own. The ordeal had reached its darkest hour. The Perrons' faith in outside help was shattered. The haunting became a test of endurance. The family's survival depended on their ability to adapt. The Warrens were gone, but Bathsheba remained. The nightmare continued with no end in sight. The Perrons' only goal was to make it out alive. After the failed exorcism, the Perrons were trapped, unable to move, forced to coexist with the spirits. The violent attacks lessened, replaced by a constant, oppressive presence. The family learned to ignore the whispers, avoid certain rooms, and live with the fear. The children developed coping mechanisms, navigating the house's dangers as best they could. For nearly a decade, the Perrons endured, their lives shaped by the haunting. In 1980 they finally escaped, selling the house and leaving behind a chapter defined by terror. Andrea Perron later wrote about their ordeal, sharing the story that inspired The Conjuring. She described a mix of relief and sadness upon leaving, not just for themselves but for the spirits left behind. The haunting bonded the family, but the trauma lingered. They never returned, but the memories and the questions remained. The house's dark legacy continued, with new owners reporting strange activity. The Perron story became legend, a warning about the dangers of the unknown. The farmhouse stood as a monument to their suffering. The family survived, but the haunting never truly left them. The ordeal was over, but the scars remained. The Perrons' resilience became their legacy. The house's secrets were never fully revealed. The nightmare had ended, but the echoes would last a lifetime. So, what really happened to the Perron family? Their story sits at the crossroads of belief and skepticism. The Perrons have always insisted their ordeal was real, their testimonies unwavering. The Warrens' involvement brought attention and controversy, but also lent credibility to the haunting. Skeptics point to old house quirks, stress, and suggestion as possible explanations. The legend of Bathsheba, while compelling, lacks solid historical evidence. Much of it may be folklore. Psychological factors like shared hysteria could have amplified the family's fear. Later owners reported odd phenomena, but nothing as violent as the Perrons described. The truth is elusive, caught between personal trauma, local legend, and the mysteries of the mind. What's undeniable is the impact: a family changed forever, a story that continues to fascinate and terrify. Was it a demonic haunting, a psychological storm, or something in between? The house keeps its secrets and the debate rages on. The Perrons' nightmare became a cultural phenomenon, blurring the line between fact and fiction. The echoes of their experience still resonate, challenging us to question what we believe. The story endures because it taps into our deepest fears: the unknown, the unseen, the possibility that evil can linger. The Perron haunting remains one of the most chilling mysteries in paranormal history. The house on Harrisville Hill stands as a silent witness to whatever happened within its walls. The only certainty is that something left a mark on the family and on all who hear their story. What do you believe? The Perron family's ordeal is a haunting reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, their terror was real to them. The Harrisville farmhouse still stands, its secrets locked away. What's your theory? Let me know in the comments. If you crave more true mysteries, hit subscribe and join us for more chilling tales. This is Milaval for Cryptic Echoes. Be careful what you seek in the dark. Thanks for watching.